Good morning. Welcome to the new episode of Frontiers of Knowledge. Today I am going to talk about one of the conspiracy theories that has taken hold of people's imagination. And this is being done at the specific desire of certain friends who wanted me to talk about Chemtrail conspiracy. Now, before I come to the chemtrail, let me tell you very clearly that chemtrail is not the same as contrail. Contrail is cloud seeding or crop dusting, and chemtrail is a supposed conspiracy where some countries fly their jets quite high up and leave pollution purposely behind to spoil the atmosphere and to harm the enemies. While cloud seeding, the contrail is useful, and at times when there's drought, when there's shortage of water, that has been used to ensure steady rainfall and steady irrigation facilities. However, chemtrail is a combination of two words, chemical and trailing. So what it is that there is a long-lasting trail that are left in the sky by high-flying aircraft, and these trails consist of chemicals or even sometimes biological agents, and they are purposely left with a sinister purpose of harming people, and this is not disclosed to the people as such. The believers in this theory believe that the normal contrails dissipate very rapidly because they are fumes, but the water-based contrails, which are routinely left with the high-flying jets, you can see them many times, and these are left because of the certain atmospheric conditions. As a matter of fact, it is assumed that these chemtrails indulge in chemical spraying, though there are certain flaws in this analysis. Believers in this conspiracy theory speculate that the purpose of chemtrail is to control human population, and they also say that they relate to solar radiation management. It is also said that they are having psychotic chemicals which psychologically manipulate human beings. They also say that it indulges in weather modification and is in fact a very subtle, hidden biological and chemical warfare, and it causes health problems. Now, the first time this theory came up, or this conspiracy erupted, was in 1996. United Nations Air Force at that time had published a report about the weather modification. And then, at that time when they published this report, people started blaming US government with spraying US population with mysterious substances from the aircraft. There were a lot of discussions on our TVs, on the press and everything. And the chemtrail conspiracy spread far and wide. The result was that in year 2000, US government set up a multi-agency response team. And this constituted represented from EPA, Environment Protection Agency, FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, NASA, and NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The report of this task force was very clear that there was no such thing as chemtrail. They did admit that chemtrails are there, but they are very normal as a result of high-flying jets. But there was no visible report of chemical spillage or pollution of the atmosphere which can be injurious to the humankind. You see, in 96 there was strategy paper. It was in the Air University, and this strategy paper was using weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather. And the same report was revised in 2025. This was in 2015, and it forecast that in 2025 this shall become a normal means of controlling weather in the countries which are inimical to you. Now this has dangerous implications. That means, suppose US has this capability, or China has this capability, and China wants India to suffer so they can manipulate the weather in India, cause either floods, or cause earthquakes, or cause tsunamis, or cause a drought. Same what USA can do in ISIS controlled areas. So this has a horrible connotation, and the consequences can be serious. But it was found then later on that this report, though it was by the Air University, was essentially a hoax. There was no substance in it. Now we as human beings always consider that the things have always a sinister meaning. They may not have it. The US military dominance is there, that is undeniable. Globally is the strongest army, technologically as well. So identifying the capability of US Army and Air Force to manipulate atmosphere or to use chemical agents to defeat the enemies may seem to be far-fetched, but it is possible. Now when we talk of the future and when we talk of the capabilities, we have to be careful about two things. A thing may be possible and yet may not be probable. Possibility it is within the capacity of the scientist to do it. 70 years back nobody could think of thermonuclear weapons. 300 years back when the gunpowder was invented, before that people never thought that gunpowder could be used. So there has been always an evolving of the capabilities and enhancing the capabilities. The killer instinct is very strong in man, and that killer instinct, when used by the governments and manipulators, can have disastrous effects. Now the second part is possibility is there, but is it probable? Would they demean themselves to this level? Well, the people who believe in the theory say that if they could wipe out Nagasaki and Hiroshima from the face of the world, when they could indulge in My Lai massacre in Vietnam, it's quite possible that they might do it. Nobody can deny that the nerve agents are being used by the armies, though they have not been used by the US Army as yet. Mostly they have been used by the terrorists. But as I said, the possibility is there, probability may not be there. Coming back to the chemtrail, till now there have been at least 50 research papers published on that. But none of them as yet has been able to confirm decisively that chemtrail has been there consciously. Now, how do you interpret it? The chemtrail conspiracy theory proponents say that chemtrails can be distinguished from contrails by the longer duration. That chemtrails are left by the aircraft and they last for almost half a day and then they transform themselves into cirrus-like clouds. Well, that is a fact. If you see, even in the Second World War picture, you would find such clouds forming after the aeroplanes had flown off. Now, was it normal exhaust from the aeroplanes? But they did persist for half a day. They did dissolve into cirrus clouds. But were they really harmful? That is not known. That is more a matter of conjecture and deduction, but doesn't have scientific legs to stand upon. Now, International Business Times published an article in which they said that the idea of any government agency looking at ways to control and manipulate weather and disrupt human life would be met with scrutiny and fears of the malignant conspiracies. Well, conspiracies are always there, you cannot deny it. Whenever something happens, something cataclysmic happens, the fact is one, but the alternate facts are many. I don't call them lies. I call them looking at the same from a distant or a different perspective. Do you know, there were some photographs of barrels. These barrels are installed in the passenger space of an aircraft for the flight purpose, and they show that aerosol dispersion systems were not effective at many times, and they might have given rise to these chemtrails. In 2007, Louisiana television station showed evidence of chemtrail. It reported that below the cross hatch of a supposed chemtrail was measured, and it contained, now this is very pertinent, it contained very unsafe and dangerous quantity of barium, and it was 6.8 part per millimeter. That is 3 times more than the recommended tolerable limit by the US government. US government says it should not be more than 2 parts per million, and it was 6.8. But a subsequent analysis showed that the equipment had been misused. Now, one thing is sure, that in case the chemtrails are happening, government would never admit it. When the atom bomb was being made in Manhattan, it was such a closely held secret that not even the members of the presidential team knew about it. There were only 3 people in the White House who were aware of it, 1 president and 2 more who were conduit to the Manhattan Project. It was such a closely held secret that the media did not even have a whiff of that. In 2001, US Congressman Dennis Kuchwit introduced a Space Reservation Act that permanently prohibits the basing of weapons in space and lists chemtrails as one of the exotic weapons that would be banned. Now, law is there to protect people, but laws have always been there, and laws have always been flouted. In United Kingdom, in England, in 2005, the Secretary of State for Environment, Earl Morley, he said that the research has been undertaken by the department to see the effects of chemtrails, and they did not find anything. So if we look at globally, as for the government handouts are concerned, there is nothing to fear. They are common occurrences. They are happening. They will continue to happen. But it has definitely been established that contrails persist for hours. But they are contrails, as I said, and they are good. And they are very perfect, natural for them. Now, whether those contrails are mistaken as chemtrails is yet to be seen. But one thing I will definitely say, in case there is truth in this conspiracy, and I hope there is no truth, then it is definitely a matter of alarm. But then, as I said earlier, whenever something happens, half a dozen conspiracies crop up, which has absolutely no meaning. When 9/11 took place, people even said that Jews had done it. People even said that the US done it by its own, or the government had done it. So those have no legs to stand up on. But the theories and the forecasts are not something without a base. Chemtrails are there, whether they are harmful or not, one was, or whether they were willful or not, is a matter of conjecture. We can only hope that good sense prevails. But in case there is an iota of truth, then that's a dangerous thing ever to occur. As far as the fate of humanity is concerned, these can be more disastrous than the nuclear bombs as well. Think about it. Thank you.